Hello, everyone, and welcome to our HRL Forza Elantra series. Starting on the pole here for Hockenheim short, this is round number 3, is going to be Matt, and then Opix in second. Third is going to be Solange with a pretty solid qualifying time, really close to taking second there. Fourth is going to be Detail. Rounding out row number 2, we move on to row number 3. We're going to have Roman in 5th place, and Luke starting in 6th, not hitting the qualifying action, not wanting to put any extra effort in. With the back pain. So yeah, love seeing the back pain injury list going into the race. But anyways, we're going green here at Hockenheim. 16 laps around this track for both motos today. And this track raced great in our Mazda MX-5 Winter Short Track Showdown Grand Final. If you didn't catch that, we raced this track there. And it put on one of the best, I would say, like, in my opinion, the best road course race of that season. Absolute banger, great lead battle throughout the entire race, and honestly, like, great battles throughout the entire field, pretty much through the entire race. So, yeah, it was a banger of a race. It was really good. Lots of good action, and I think this track just puts on a really good show. And I love the vibe that it has, too, because this short version of this track really feels like a go-kart track almost. It feels like a go-kart track to me. Obviously, the full version of Hockenheim doesn't really feel like that. You've got a lot of like really long, sprawling straightaways and like some massive hairpins. So it has more of that like normal racetrack vibe. But this short version just feels like a go-kart track that you could go to and sign up for and run some laps on a certain day or whatever. Have a track day on. That's what this short version kind of feels like to me, and I really enjoy racing on it. Really enjoy watching the racing on it as well. And so we had to bring it back. We brought back all of the tracks from that grand final. Actually, we already did one of them. We did Homestead to kick off the season. Now here we are at round number 3 for Hockenheim short, and then later on down the road, I think towards the end of May, maybe it's the beginning of June. Can't exactly recall off the top of my head. We're gonna do Road Atlanta, but it's gonna be a little bit different because we're gonna do the full version of Road Atlanta this time, instead of the short version that we raced in that grand final. I considered changing it for Hockenheim as well. I considered maybe doing one of the longer layouts for Hockenheim. I think the next time we race this in another series, we probably will do that. We'll probably go away from the short version and move up to maybe the complete full version, or there's another one that's kind of in between. Maybe we'll do that in between one. We'll see. Yeah, we'll decide on that when we get to it. But I did decide to go with the full version of Road Atlanta. Which I think will race. I think will race better. I think it'll race better than the short version. Actually, I do really enjoy the short version. I think it's a lot of fun. But one aspect of the full version that I think will be really nice that the short version doesn't really have is the draft war aspect. I think the long version of Road Atlanta, it has a really long back straightaway that leads all the way to that downhill chicane. And I think that it's going to be. I think that's going to be really good for the racing there. And if you watched last week's race at Hakone, I think it'll kind of give it the same vibe as that, where you have part of the track that is like super like skill-based and like really technical. But if you can keep it close enough, you can get to that straightaway where you can draft and take advantage of that and maybe like set up a pass there. If you're able to keep up really well with the rest of the lap, you could be really close going into that straightaway and try to set up a pass, or just try to keep up a little bit if you're struggling in the rest of the track. So I would kind of compare it to that. I think we'll have again a similar dynamic there, and I think that dynamic played out really well and was really fun at Hakone, and I think that'll be really fun to watch there for the full version of Road Atlanta as well. So we'll see how that plays out. Taking a look here at Solange. Oh, really loose. Let's take a look at a replay of that. Look at that. He goes too far to the inside, and it, like, stops him. It's really weird. It like, stops him. I don't know if that was just, like, the weird way that he, got all of his tires over that, like, sausage curb on the inside. I don't know if that's why that happened, or I don't know if that was, like, an intentional thing on the Forza dev side to stop people from track cutting there, because I know they've done some weird stuff like that in certain corners in the past, although I feel like this game doesn't really have that. I feel like it was more of an old Forza game thing, like maybe like Forza 5, Forza 6. I feel like kind of had that few tracks, few different corners. I feel like this game doesn't really have that. So I don't really think that was it, but I'm not really too sure what that was. But it was a big moment in the race. And speaking of which, here's another big moment in the race. Look at this. Slaunch now, after that same issue on that same lap, or I shouldn't say same issue, different issue on the same lap. Now, later on in the lap, he has some sand trap action. So what happened there? Get another look at the replay here. Did Opex get into him? Take a look at the hood cam. No, it was really, really tight, but no, Opex didn't get into him at all. Slaunch, I think, maybe just getting fooled by the radar. Oh, big contact. What was that? I think Luke getting distracted watching Slaunch into the sand trap, missed the braking point, and just absolutely destroys Opex's bumper right there. Luckily, though, they're lined up, hits him square in the bumpers, so it's not too big of a deal. But yeah, that was really big contact right there. And again, like, luckily Opex was ready for that, was heavy on the brakes. Doesn't get into the sand trap himself after that. That would have been really unfortunate. But they keep going. That's a really tough break, though, early on for Slaunch. He has that weird instance in the beginning of the lap, and then later on in the lap, that was just a horrible lap for him. He gets into the sand trap, and he had a really good start. He was around second. He was battling for the podium, off to a great start, and he's been looking for a bit of a rebound this season. Homestead was really rough for him. He finally had a pretty solid result. The second moto at Hakone, he finally had a pretty good result right there. But yeah, just really rough Homestead. Lag out the first race at Hakone. Finally gets a good result in the second race at Hakone. But now here he's trying to, continue that momentum, right? He's trying to continue that momentum because he had great momentum in our Winter Short Track Showdown, especially like the beginning of that series. He had great momentum, lots of podiums. He was doing fantastic, and I feel like he hasn't been able to get that going again for a while. He's been on kind of a struggle. And I thought maybe he would finally get it going here. But yeah, I think it's going to be hard for him to do that with the way that sand trap mistake just occurred. And it's going to be a really hard recovery Moto 1 for him, I think. Luke going for a send here, and Opex trying to not waste too much time getting around him here because he wants to stay in the battle because Matt is out front, and he has to respect that. Again, Matt took the pole by over a second. He was pretty much exactly over a second over Opex. And that just shows a really big pace advantage for Matt compared to the rest of the field. So Matt's got some really good pace here at Hockenheim, and he showed that, was really close, had a chance at the win in the grand finals race here too. So he's got to respect that speed. This is one of Matt's best road courses, probably his best road course currently that we've seen. I think it's pretty fair to say that. So Luke's got to respect that. Try to get around Opex for second as quickly as he can to get that clean air and try to cut that gap on Matt down. And as you can see, looking at the ticker in the top left, it's about 5 seconds, but we are early enough in the race for that to potentially change. Take a look at this. Roman with a big send on Slaunch. Slaunch letting that happen, getting back to the inside, and then letting him know, getting him in the wall a little bit right there. Yeah, that was a pretty rogue send out of Roman, and I understand the little bit of extra sauce after that move from Slaunch. That move reminding me of Days of Thunder, if anybody's seen it. That really resembled a pretty good scene from that movie. And look at this, Roman right away, not wasting any time, doing the same exact type of move. I don't know why Roman is just going for these absolutely rogue sends on Slaunch, but he just continues doing it. And Slaunch gonna let him have that one and gonna reset, gonna get behind him and try to chase him back down. Had to hit the water brake. But yeah, so Roman going a little bit too far inside into turn one, kind of making the same mistake that Slaunch made earlier, although Roman doesn't, kick as much loose as Slaunch did. So that's going to allow Slaunch to get right back to Roman's bumper. And let's see what he can do with this. I wonder if he makes the same type of move going into this next corner and tries to pay him back a little bit. Let's see if he does it. He's got decent momentum. Is he going to try to return the favor? Maybe. No, not quite. Not quite. Just try to stay close. Oh, here we go. But he gets to the inside anyways. Gets a really good exit. Oh, big contact. Wow. That was really close. Slaunch super sideways on the inside right there. Had to gather it up. Luckily, he was able to. And that was really, really close. Almost a big incident there with Roman and Slaunch. I mean, that could have ended with Roman going off into the sand trap. That could have been big. They're able to gather it up and keep the battle going. And meanwhile, while all this cheese between Slaunch and Roman is going down, Detail is really getting away. He was a part of this battle, and it looked like you know, Detail would be a mainstay in this battle, but they've been chasing each other so hard that Detail has really gotten away in 4th place and has built a big gap right there. So, you know, he's liking that. He's going to try to use that to his advantage, especially because Opix is like super far out in front. Opix with a really nice advantage in 3rd place so far. Again, like the qualifying pace was better. The race pace looks better as well. Opix looking very improved right now. So far, this is looking to be the best race that he's had so far in the Elantra series. A little bit of growing pains for him. I think taking it a little bit longer for him to get used to it. But so far in this race, I think he's finally starting to figure it out. Starting to look a lot more comfortable. And I think he has a really good shot at a podium finish here. And maybe that opens up the floodgates. Opix was a mainstay, you know, in and around the podium, especially in the second half of the MX5 series. It was kind of the same way. He didn't have that many like crazy good finishes early on, but then, you know, towards the back half, he started to be a mainstay there around the podium. And I think maybe we'll see the same thing happen here with the Elantras. You know, now that he figures it out, maybe he could start to click off those podiums a little more consistently. And we see him going into the pits here. Opix going to be hitting the pit stop, going for that double medium strategy, and I like this. Opix on a different strategy than most of the field, and what I like about it is that it's going to give him clean air, right? It's going to give him clean air. He was going to have clean air anyways, the way that this race worked out, but you don't always know that. But him being on a very different strategy than the rest of the field, that's going to allow him to have these few laps right here where he's just like completely on his own, have clean air, and just try to run like good like qualifying laps, and just try to put in like really good times and take advantage of that advantage that he has. And Slanch with another really good run on this exit of this corner, but Roman forcing him really far down low into the grass, and Roman kind of getting what he deserves in my opinion right there. Forcing Slanch so far down low, Roman goes wide, gets in the sand a little bit, saves it. But yeah, I mean, that could have been way worse. But you know, luckily was able to hold on to it, and tries to gather it up here and try to work that gap back down on Slanch if he can, because he's not too far away, still within a second of him. And take a look at the ticker. It looks like Luke's starting to cut that gap down on Matt as well. It looks like he's almost like halved it. It was about a 5-second gap. Now it's about 2.5 seconds. So that lead battle, it might be brewing. It might happen. So have to keep an eye on that as well. We might be looking at having another, you know, repeat really good show here at Hockenheim for Moto 1. And again, we only had the one Moto in the grand final. We're going to have a whole nother Moto here. So I'm liking what we're seeing so far. What is this? What is this? A massive send out of Roman. What was that? Super out of control. Completely missed the breaking point. Take a look at this. Just in way too deep. Almost just like completely wrecked Slanch right there. Oh man, how is Slanch going to be feeling after that one? Is he going to give Roman a shot after that? We'll have to see that. I think he's got to be pretty heated. Look at that wheel action. Slanch hitting the correction, trying to keep the car out of the wall. And yeah, I think he forces Roman really far down low there. I think upset with him, but Roman doesn't just seem to care. And Slanch is going to get out into the sand. I think Slanch has got to be max pissed at this point. And we'll see if he can get back to Roman. We're going to keep an eye on that and see what he does, because I would not be surprised. I would not be surprised if he gives him a little bit of a shot, because Roman has had some pretty crazy moves from super far back on Slanch this race. And he had one at not Hockenheim, that's the track we're on at Hakone. Got confused with the H's there for a moment. But last week at Hakone, like right before Slanch lagged out, Roman did like that same type of move, just like didn't brake and just absolutely ran through Slanch. I think Slanch has got to be pretty just like over it at this point. So we're gonna keep our eyes on Slanch here, because again, if he gets to Roman, I think he's gonna give him a shot. I think he's gonna let him know after all these crazy moves that Roman's put on him. So I want to be on the POV when it happens. You know, if it happens, I want to see it. So we're gonna keep an eye on that here. But we also have a lead battle to watch too. Take a look. It's really cut down. Luke within a second of Matt. We're gonna have to watch. We're gonna have to watch both battles here, because there's gonna be so much to cover. But Slanch really close to Roman. Does he go for something here? Nope, not gonna be able to. And oh, it looks like Matt and Luke. Here we go. Matt and Luke going into the pits. Let's take a look at this and see what happens here. So this is how close it's gotten. Luke right there, but very important, right? Matt holding onto that gap, going into the pits. I think that's massive But take a look at this. He goes a little bit too wide. He goes a little bit too wide, gets into the sand a little bit. Luke cuts down a ton of that time. And here we have all these guys in the same strategy. Detail does the same thing. Roman does the same thing. Slaunch is going to gain a ton off of that. A lot of drivers making that same mistake. And here we have the pit exit. And Matt's still able to hold on to the lead. Oh, man, I think he's going to have to give... the pit crew some Taco Bell coupons or something. Some sort of bonus for that job that they just did right there, because, getting Matt back out in front right there was absolutely massive. It would have been pretty difficult to make that pass back, but to have that advantage going out of the pits and being able to play defense, it's going to be a lot different. He was able to play defense for a long, long time in the MX-5s before Luke was finally able to make the pass. Well, now, this time around, he's only got to play defense for about like 5 or so laps, right? Not nearly as much time. He had to play defense for damn near like the whole race for the MX-5 race. So this should be a little bit easier to manage. But that being said, I mean, it's not going to be easy. Luke's got a lot of speed. He was able to cut down that gap, and he's going to have a few looks at some moves and try to catch Matt off guard with maybe some dive bombs here. And already a big run. Matt going low, trying to hit the blocks. Whoa, huge swerve there across the finish line. Take a look at this replay here. Some big defensive action. Look at that, really close. Looking on the brakes there, try not to wreck him. That was going to be very, very close right there. But now going ahead a little bit, and yeah, seeing this battle, and it's gonna be legit. This battle is gonna be crazy all the way to the line. I think we're gonna see that big defense for the rest of the race, because Matt has a really good opportunity at a win here. He has not taken a win yet in our Forza events. He's been close. He's had a lot of good opportunities, and then especially like to open up this season at Homestead, right? He finished on the podium every single race. Hakone, he got a podium in the first race, wasn't able to get it in the second race, although I think that was pretty unfortunate with some cheesing with Ramda there. I think he probably should have kept his podium streak going. He had a really good pace there, but yeah, unfortunately some cheese with Biggie Bagda, and that that kind of that kind of cheesed that one. Kind of cheesed his podium streak, gave him a mulligan. But still had really good pace, right? Like, I think that was the important thing. Like, even though he didn't end up finishing on the podium, still had really good pace. He's had really good pace every single race so far. And I think the win is coming. I think it's just a matter of time here in the Elantra series, and we'll see if this race could potentially be the one where he could take it. Luke having a, maybe a look to the inside there, but not enough of a gap, not able to do it. Take a look at a replay here, though. Slaunch and Roman battling. Here we go. Slaunch to the inside. Does he pay him back? Does he force him out to the grass? No. Surprisingly clean. Surprisingly clean move. Slaunch just going to cleanly just mosey on by Roman right there. Roman opened the door. Slaunch said, well, okay, I'll take advantage of that. Goes to the inside, makes the move, and gets the pass. Gets the pass done. So, yeah, surprisingly clean. We'll get back to that if it gets spicy again. But here we go. Back to the onboard view. We're coming up on 2 laps to go. This time by, so running out of time, and again, both on the softs and both making this run to the finish. We'll see if Luke can make anything happen. Again, he was able to make the pass in this type of scenario with the MX-5s late in the race. It was with 2 or 3 laps to go. I can't exactly remember exactly how late it was, but it was pretty late in the race. Again, though, the difference being he was working on Matt's bumper like the entire race in that one. In this one, he had to work from the back with the not qualifying, and has only had like this pit cycle, right? Like this pit cycle on the softs. Like that's pretty much the only time he's had to have these pass attempts on Matt, because he's spent the rest of the race working down that gap. And Matt with a really good turn 1 that time around, going into 2 to go, and that's huge for Matt to have that big turn 1. Gets a pretty decent gap between them. He gets to breathe for a couple corners, doesn't have to worry about any dive bombs. He has a pretty good gap between them, so that affords him a little bit of time to chill and to breathe and to recalculate, because look at this, Luke with gaining that time in the braking zone. It's not going to be over yet. He's going to have a couple more opportunities. He's going to have a couple more looks at this, so Matt's going to have to lock in for the rest of this race. We have about a lap and a half to go. The sun is setting. Love the cinematic ending for this one here at Hockenheim. Can Matt pull it off? Can he get the redemption this time around and take the win? A really good exit there. He had a really good turn 1. He had a really good exit there on this lap. But Luke's really good at these last 2 corners. You can see he gains a lot of time in these last 2 corners. I think he even makes contact with Matt's bumper But I actually think that's a good thing for Matt. I don't know if he did it on purpose or not, but I think that's actually a good thing. Has the contact right there, stops Luke's momentum, and is going to open up that gap again. But here we go, white flag last time around. Will Luke be able to find any opening, or will Matt be able to hold on to it for his first win of the season and his first win in our Forza series with that great Valvoline scheme? Let's see if he can do it. Going down this back straightaway for the final time. Again, this is the last lap. Can Luke have any kind of surprise move here? No, it looks like he's trying to set up a move, maybe in one of the following corners, maybe a little bit more contact there. Hard to tell, really, really close. But yeah, just trying to set up momentum. This is another passing zone right here, but he doesn't have a good enough run. He's going to have to follow Matt really well here and try to set up a move in one of these last two corners. And this is where he was able to do it in the MX-5s, but he's not close enough this time. It's going to have to be a last corner move if he's going to want to make it happen. Is it too little, too late? Here we go. Last corner. It looks like he's got the momentum. Matt goes a little bit wide, but he's going to be able to block. He's going to block all the way to the inside, block all the way to the outside. He holds onto it, takes the win. Wow, close finish. Very close finish. I was hoping for the photo finish. Not quite going to be able to happen. Oh, wow, the post-race chow right there. After Matt taking the W. But yeah, look at that finish. Look at the big momentum. But Matt able to play the blocking game. That's fair game. He was able to do it. And that's what he was able to get. Luke, I mean, I think he knew if he was going to make that pass, like Matt was going to be able to block there. If it was going to be a last corner move, right, that was never going to work. Luke would have had to make the move either like turn 2, or that one like banked hairpin, or that one like penultimate corner, right, or like 3 turns before the ending, like somewhere around there, like he made the pass in the MX-5. So it would have had to been one of those passing zones, because if you wait for the last corner right there, Matt's always going to be able to play the blocking game. So it's just too little too late, but Matt played it really well. Had a great qualifying effort, had a great race, was able to hold on and hold off the pressure from Luke at the end, hitting the burnout here. And congrats, takes his first win. That's a huge one. Going to get some big points right there. He's going to have a chance at taking the overall potentially too, so could get the first overall as well. We'll see if he can do it. I'm hungry, and I need some water, so I hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll see you in the next one.